Want to win prizes while watching football? Here's how. Football just got a whole lot more exciting with Match Bingo, the game where watching football actually wins you rewards. Here's how it works. Before kickoff, you'll get a Match Bingo card. Instead of numbers, it's filled with all the moments we love and hate. Whether it's yellow cards, corners, offsides, VAR, penalties, even a bit of stoppage time drama. As the game goes on, you'll tick them off one by one. Hit a line, shout bingo, and you're in the running for prizes. More boxes you complete, the bigger chances you got to win. We're talking football merch, matchday gear, vouchers, and loads more. Every game you play gives you another shot at winning. And the best part is free to sign up. So that Monday night mid-table clash suddenly has you on the edge of your seat because you just need one more corner to win. Even a goalless draw becomes nail-biting when there's a prize on the line. And the best part of it is free to sign up. Play along, compete with your mates, and win real prizes with Match Bingo. Scan the QR code on the screen and click the link in the description to get started today. Make Match Bingo a win. What's going on, people? It's your boy Tots back again for another video talking about VAR. Should it be scrapped? But before I get into it, big up the sponsors of the channel, Match Bingo, for another sponsor of another video. If you're not locked in, if you're not tuned in, what are you waiting for? Make sure you scan the QR code. Make sure you click the link in the description below. People are winning prizes. There's going to be games, obviously, this weekend internationally. So, yeah, you can play the Match Bingo, man. And, yeah, man. Bro, you can win it, man. Off £2, you could win 200, 300 pounds. So, yeah, definitely subscribe. Do what you got to do, people, and make sure you lock in to Match Bingo. But let's get into the controversy of VAR. Only 3 games into the season, and we've had mistake after mistake after mistake. This is obviously Burnley manager Scott Parker not happy with the video assistant decision, are threatening to turn football into the most sterile game there is after this side lost a controversial late penalty to Manchester United. Now, Ruben Amorim's team were awarded a penalty deep into the second half of stoppage time when Anthony was penalised for grabbing Diallo's shirt inside the area. For what it's worth, I do feel like it was a penalty. I think as soon as you start pulling people's shirt and stuff like that, you're asking for trouble, especially in the box, man. So, yeah, the only kind of question is the consistency of VAR. Like we've seen before that they always said it has to be clear and obvious. Is it a clear and obvious decision? The referee obviously looked at that kind of shirt pull and deemed it not being a penalty at the time. So is it enough to change the referee's decision? Is it enough to go to the screen? And I think that's where a lot of the kind of controversies come in with some of these decisions, even the start of this season. Are these decisions a clear and obvious error by the ref? Can another ref go and see a shirt pull and say, you know what, I don't think it's enough for that to be a penalty? Maybe. And that's kind of the grey area there, man. So I feel like, again, there's a lot of kind of tweaks that these VAR kind of needs in terms of making it a bit more understandable for kind of the viewers that are obviously watching at home, people that are in the stadium, etc., etc. I feel like it definitely needs a few more tweaks. But let's get into what he said. This is obviously the referee, Sam Barrett, initially waved on, obviously for it to be played on. But after reviewing of the incident, the pitch side monitor, he awarded the spot kit, and Bruno Fernandes held his nerve to obviously make them win 3-2. On the field, the ref didn't give a foul. Then we're re-refed. It's not the ref, it's the fella 200 odd miles away in a box. It's the way the game's gone, unfortunately. Quadruple checking everything every minute. So yeah, this is kind of issue. And I feel like there is kind of a simple solution to that, which I'll get onto in a minute. But yeah, obviously this is the semi-automated offsides that even people were questioning that. And look how the fine margins, literally a shoulder to shoulder sleeve. But yeah, again, this is why we got semi-automated offsides in. Because again, they've obviously ruled it out offside, even though from the visible eye it looks like he was onside. Obviously, Foster had a goal ruled out for a marginal offside. A decision the 24-year-old described as unfair. Listen, if it's offside, it's offside, man. We can't be doing the whole thing where if it's beneficial to my team, I'm going to say it's unfair. Because if this was the other way around, it was given offside, obviously you wouldn't be complaining, innit? Again, whether it's a millimeter or whatever, if it's offside, if he's ahead of the ball or ahead of the player, the last man, then he's ahead of it, innit? So the offside thing, I don't think is much of a complaint, if I'm being honest. Going back to obviously what I was saying about checking every single thing, if things are going to be, in the case of it being clear and obvious or not, I think you have to just put in a kind of strike system where you have a manager has 2 or 3 kind of chances to check the VAR. So it's more into the kind of teams, opposition teams, if they feel like a decision they've been hard done by, etc., and then you have the ref go check. I think that's kind of a thing where you kind of eliminate this. Is this clear and obvious? It's just based off a kind of person's opinion.
someone who's obviously at Stockley Park or the referee, etc., who kind of either say if I think that's clear and obvious or if something else is not clear and obvious. And it always changes depending on the game, innit? It's so obviously hard to kind of judge such a great area when it comes to VAR. So I think that would be definitely an idea to do. Have like in this example, Burnley, I've got 2 chances in the game, maybe one each half to kind of obstruct the decision. And same with Man United. So if Man United were to use their kind of obstruction of the decision in that kind of moment through the penalty, then again, you can go over to the screen and it's not a thing where the referees decided to do it. It's more, again, the team has asked the referee to go and double check it. I feel like when you get that in place, then it might be a little bit different. Because yeah, it is a massive grey area, leaving it up to the referees to dictate and decide. But obviously, that was just obviously one situation this weekend. And there's obviously another one, controversial one, a massive controversial one, when Chelsea's obviously beating Fulham 2-0. The first goal, Josh King ruled out incorrectly. Obviously PGMOL have come out and obviously apologized for it. Before obviously Enzo Fernandez scored a penalty when obviously Chalobah's cross struck Ryan Session's arm. Again, I thought it was a penalty. I feel like, again, when you're always putting your hand above your head, you're asking for trouble, man, especially when you're turning your back. I think that's a no-no, especially in the box. And I feel like, again, with this one, people will say maybe it's too close to his body, etc. But again, I feel like when you do that, you're asking for trouble. Kind of more of a controversial one is more the kind of the build-up. Obviously, it does hit João Pedro's hand for handball. Now, again, because the handball rule is so vague, some referees probably would have given that as handball, even though it was intentional, just because he's hit his hand in the box. It's kind of, and it's been able to prolong an attack the same way he's gained an unfair advantage, unintentionally, but he's gaining an advantage touching his hand. Other people will say it's unintentional. He's not looking at the ball, he just hits his hand, and then obviously he can just play on. So I feel like it's just literally just dependent again on the ref's interpretation of the rule, because the rule is very vague and not really clear. Like if there's a thing where if it hits your hand, it's handball, that's it. It doesn't matter if it's intentional, unintentional. If it hits your hand, you were given a free kick. It can't hit your hand, no matter what happens with it. Then it would be have a bit more clarity. Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, the problem with that is that people are going to then try and kick the ball at your hand to gain free kicks, penalties, whatever. So, yeah, man, it's a sticky situation for sure. A seething Marco Silva told TNT the decision to disallow King's fine goal was unbelievable. I prefer not to say anything because I will be punished. Yeah, that is a thing where I feel like that has to be changed as well, man. Like managers getting punished for saying they disagree with the decision, man. I don't think that shouldn't warrant getting a massive punishment because you're saying, I don't agree. I feel like they made the wrong decision, especially when they've come out and said we've made the wrong decision afterwards, which I think everyone knew that the goal shouldn't have stood, man. I think probably Chelsea fans. I mean, maybe even some of them were probably thinking, well, we got a little bit lucky with that one. I don't think it's enough to disallow. And again, clear and obvious. Was that a clear and obvious foul? I don't think it was. It's just, again, he just kind of put his foot on the ground and his foot's just been there. It's not an action to tackle. He's just done a skill. And he's hit his foot. If it was a thing where he stood on his foot and he's not reacted, then would they have still given a free kick? Because he would have been the same action. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, again, we've seen it before. It is a contact sport. Like, people can obviously brush each other and barge each other and stuff like that. And it's not always a free kick. So, yeah, I think they definitely got that wrong. And obviously, they came out and said they got it wrong as well. We may only be 3 games into the Premier League season, but more often than not, VAR is once again dominating the post-match discussions. But only 3 games in, and there's been so much discussion about VAR already. Months away from not celebrating goals. Obviously, Anthony's 66-minute equaliser appeared to earn Burnley a point. But again, Barrett initially waived the host penalty appeals. And obviously, Stuart Atwell asked him to go to the monitor. And this is another thing again. And I feel like the fans are kind of being misled in terms of what's actually going on here. We've heard it plenty of times from other people that have obviously been in contact with VAR and obviously have the kind of comms or listening to the conversations. When they're getting pulled to the screen, they're just basically telling them to change their decision. Like, all of that is kind of performative, in my opinion, for the simple fact that there actually is slim chances. I think 1 or 2 referees have done it. I think Michael Oliver may have done it last season and maybe another one, but it's very rare they stick to their on-field decision when they look at the screen, because they're basically telling them, you've made a mistake. This is why it should be a penalty. This is why it should be a red card, or this is why it's not a penalty or a red card. And when they're looking at it, they're telling them why you need to change your mind, basically, and change the decision. So it's going to take a massively brave ref to not only go against, obviously, the footage he's watching and also the kind of the referees in Stockley Park saying, well, no, I still think it's not a penalty, or I still think it is a penalty, or whatever. So yeah, I think that all kind of how they're actually describing the kind of the rules, I think it just needs to change. I remember when it first got introduced, I think it was the Euros in Russia in 2018, when it first got introduced, the whole obviously thought process about it was he's been sent to the screen, but it's still his decision. And I think you need to get back to that. Like this whole thing of him telling you in your ear that you're basically wrong. He's basically whoever's in Stockley Park, he's basically the ref then, because he's just re-reffing the game. He's having all these kind of footage to re-watch or whatever. And if a referee makes a decision that he doesn't particularly agree with, he's going to go in his ear and say, no, this should be a penalty, or this should be a free kick, or this should be a... Instead of saying, I think potentially it's a free kick. You don't have to. It's up to you. It's literally your decision. You're refereeing the game. But this is just my knowledge on it. And then it's up to you. If you still think it's a free kick, still give it. I feel like there's a pressure now to not go against, obviously, the person in Stockley Park, because they're just going to get battered for it in the media. It's like, well, VAR told him to go and have a look, and he still made his mind. It was the wrong decision, etc. But I think you just got to give refs still obviously the opportunity and still the kind of responsibility to ref the game how they see fit. If they look at a screen and still think something's a red card when everyone thinks it's not a red card, then that's just the ref you've got at the end of the day. The problem you've got is that people at VAR, obviously, we know who it is, but because you're not seeing them visually, there's no kind of, what's the word? We don't know what the discussion it is to come to that decision. Whereas with the ref, you can see, obviously, he's made the decision. You can see the angle he's looking at it. Maybe he's not at a good angle. Even if you go to like the VAR kind of box there and you see him kind of looking at the screen and thinking, you know what, in real time, I still don't think it was kind of a red card, or I still think it was a penalty. Then you can still land on your sword and say, you know what, VAR checked it for one, which is a lot of complaints that they don't check everything. VAR checked it. The referee still had a look at it himself and still thought it was that particular thing. Then cool. Then the ref can take the responsibility and whether he gets it right or wrong. And he shouldn't be vilified for that. That's just him reffing the game. And you know what I'm saying? But there is a lot of pressure to get everything right now, especially, or not even pressure to get everything right, but pressure to listen to someone in Stockley Park, because the perception is whatever they say is right. But what's actually happening is they're getting things wrong in Stockley Park. And what makes it worse is that they've got monitors that look at it and are still getting it wrong, because they're not having a look at the kind of flow of the game and how the ref is reffing the game as well. Because again, some games are more aggressive than others. Some refs are giving fouls for less things. They're making it a bit more 50-50. Other refs are giving fouls for everything. So it just depends on the game state of the actual game in itself as well. But yeah, I think for me, I wouldn't personally scrap it. Personally, I just think you need to make amends to some of the rules. I think VAR, in terms of the actual concept and the idea, is very, very good idea, actually. Because again, everyone talks about obviously the negatives, and I get that, I understand that. But how many goals have we actually seen given when they were wrongly ruled out for offside or a particular incident? There's been loads, man. Some penalties been given that was stonewall penalties that the referee has been told, listen, you need to have a look at this again. You've missed it. This is an absolute stonewaller. Do you know what I'm saying? Penalties that have not been given, that were awarded before, that were not penalties, and they've kind of changed their mind. So I feel like, again, there is some kind of benefit in VAR, and they do get decisions right. However, I feel like the use of it and the kind of probability of how they're getting decisions right on a regular basis, I don't think is obviously working out, in my opinion, man, at this moment in time. So yeah, it's kind of a sticky one, really. But yeah, I just think you need to implement, because people are saying, do you get like referees? Sorry, do you get footballers in kind of the VAR room? I feel like potentially that could be a possibility, but again, they're gonna have to learn all the rules in it, and I don't know if a lot of footballers even know the rules, if I'm being honest. So that might be an avenue you can't really go down. But I think for me personally, the adaptation of how you're using it just needs to be changed for sure. I think you definitely have to put in maybe some of the, because obviously the great areas you've got at the minute is the clear and obvious rule, which is, again, what does that even mean? My clear and obvious to you could be another man's clear. It just has to be a set thing. So, boom, you get 3 opportunities or 2 opportunities to appeal a decision you do or don't like. Yeah, from either team. So you know you got 3. So if you waste them all in the first half or whatever it may be, like bit like substitutions, you know you ain't got any more. So if anything dodgy happens towards the end of the game, you can't appeal it, and that's just the way it goes. People just know it, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? But again, maybe you have kind of some kind of backlash with that, because people are going to be like, oh, we should have had a penalty in the last minute, but we use up all our kind of chances to do it. Why couldn't VAR intervene? So maybe that's not even the right answer. I'm just giving obviously suggestions in it. So maybe that's something that you can look forward to. Or again, like I said, the adaptation. I think the biggest one for me is the adaptation to going to the screen. I think that has to be it more the referee's decision. I don't think he should just go, because again, it's getting a bit too much. Like, you might as well just reverse decision. Just save a bit of time of him looking at it. If he's actually not looking at it to actually make his own mind up, he's just looking at it because you're telling him to look at it because this is where it went wrong, which is I think how they're using it, which they shouldn't do. You're just wasting everyone's time. You might as well just say, okay, VAR just told me it's a penalty. I'm just going to give a penalty. You know what I mean? I'm not even going to look at it. Do you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I think that has to be changed, man. I'm surprised no one suggested that or brought that up, that VAR, the actually premise of it has to be changed in terms of when we're suggesting things to you to go to the screen, but it doesn't mean you have to do it. Do you know what I mean? We're not telling you that you've made a mistake. We're just, listen, this could be a penalty depending on you. Let's see your interpretation of the actual kind of incident, and whatever you come up with, even after maybe if you've not given it or given it, whatever you actually come up with afterwards, we'll just go from there, man. So, but yeah, man. Obviously, a lot of people. Even Warnock was not happy. It's pathetic to talk about the decision. I think it was a penalty. Ahmed did brilliantly. I understand Scott Parker's frustration, though. I think again, it becomes obviously, is it clear and obvious? Is it an obvious mistake? If the referee's seen it and doesn't think it's a penalty at the time, is that enough to overturn it? Who knows? Because I think it was a penalty, so maybe you could say it is, but again, it's subjective, isn't it? She's moaning about the yellow card there. Goals shouldn't be disallowed by accidents. Pardon me. This is obviously Danny Murphy. Talking about obviously the incident with Josh King's goal being disallowed, and again, the injustice for Fulham is that because of that, obviously the amount of time it took to disallow that goal, that made it was extra time on the first half, and that's literally how they scored their first goal, because it was over the 8 minutes of initial time, which wouldn't have been given if they didn't disallow the goal. So it's kind of a double whammy, man. To be fair. I was really angry, not because it was Fulham, but because I love football. Goals like that should be disallowed for complete accidents as well. It described the challenge as obviously careless, but there was no challenge for the ball. It was a bit of skill. Yeah, it's true. He just put his foot on his foot. But yeah, everyone shot what's happened this afternoon. Nobody can tell me it was an obvious foul by obviously Munez. It's difficult to understand. But yeah, during Liverpool's open day victory, Anfield was left perplexed by a decision to not penalise Sensei for what appeared to be a deliberate handball, which denied TK a clear on that goal. Yeah, that definitely should have been handball and probably a red card as well. Sensei action was not deemed to be clear handball offence to not deny a goal scoring opportunity due to the distance from goal. So basically, they said it wasn't a red card. They could maybe, and that's another thing, they can only influence the game when it's completely red cards or yellow card, not yellow cards. So if it's not a red card, what should have been a foul, you're not going to get the foul because it's not a red card. So, yeah, even that in itself is a bit fugazi, man, to be honest with you. People are fed up with the VAR and forensics of VAR. Every time there's a goal, we're looking at it. Why are you looking for more? Well, whichever way you look at it, it's a game going backwards now. It's not enjoyable to watch. Yeah, I mean, I do agree in terms of the enjoyment. You can't celebrate goals and stuff like that. But at the same time, people obviously wanting VAR in because the referees were poor in the first place. Do you know what I'm saying? They were so bad. They were getting so much wrong. They were like, well, these guys need help. But obviously, it's just exposed them even more because the same referees are just refereeing in the VAR and getting even more things wrong with the, obviously, the luxury of having replays. and they're still coming to the wrong conclusion, which is exposing them even more. At least before, you could say, well, in the heat of the moment, obviously, the game is at a fast pace. He just thought it was that. It's a split-second decision. He's not come up with the right one. And you can kind of accept it a little bit more because it's like, well, split second, maybe if he had a couple of replays, which was obviously the kind of idea for VAR, then you come to the right decision. But again, there's been a lot of ones where they're not doing that either. So very, very worrying times, man. But yeah, I think overall, man, I think personally, in terms of the whole overall discussion with VAR and if it should be banned and stuff like that, and I think for me, you're looking at VAR as one of those kind of scenarios where I think it needs to be improved. I would keep it. I would. I know, obviously, I might be in the minority there that just want to scrap it because it's not working out. But I think we should keep it for sure. I think there is more benefits to it than negatives, even though there has been a lot of negatives. I just think the way it's been implemented needs to be improved on massively, and the people that are running it need to improve on how they're running it as well. So it's a bit more digestible to obviously the fan bases that are going to the games and stuff like that. Again, I think they've obviously tried to improve the communication with the referees using the kind of mic, which I can understand. But again, I feel like even that, the way they're using that is probably not the way that was supposed to be used in terms of like when it goes to the screen, that's when you should be speaking to let the fans know what's actually happening. Do you know what I'm saying? There's a VAR check for a potential handball. Obviously, they say it on the screen, but that's when probably the referee should be saying it. And then at least they're explaining their kind of decision now. But yeah, it is a bit of a strange one for sure, man. But yeah, man, big up obviously everyone that's tuned into the video. You guys in the comments, let me know what you think about this whole VAR situation. Do you think that VAR should be scrapped, or should we keep it? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, man, don't hate to play at the game. It's been your boy Tops back again. Until next time, people, I'm out. Peace and love.